Thank you everyone for coming today. I'm hoping you'll find this session useful. So I'm going to kick off and just do some basic introductions. So my name's Danielle and I head up the Care Leaver Network in the Department for Education. The network is basically a formal support network for interns that are joining in the DFE. We basically are there to offer interns information, support, learning, development, and obviously gain friendships as well. The actual network consists of only care leavers as well, so everyone's in it together. We've all sort of gone through the same situations. I'll do individual introductions just so you know who's going to be speaking to you today. So obviously I am Danielle. I've joined the department in 2019, so I've been in the government for just over 2 years now. I was promoted after 6 months of joining the internship, so I progressed very quickly, and I'm now permanent in the department. And my current job is the private secretary to the chief analyst, so it's basically my job to make my boss look good. Aidan, do you want to just give yourself a quick introduction?
Yep, cheers Danielle. So like Danielle, I lead in the Care Leavers network that we've set up. I also joined the DFE. I joined last year in February on this internship scheme. I've since been made permanent. And yeah, I work in commercial within the Department for Education. So that's kind of my day-to-day role.
Fabulous. Kyle.
Hi, I'm Kyle. I started last year and was made permanent this year, and I'm a finance assistant for operational finance. So that's just basically the daily running of the finance side of the department.
Thank you. Luke?
Hi everyone, so I'm Luke Hunt. I also joined last year and have since been made permanent, and my day-to-day role is in business estate and project management.
Luke was also the winner of Kahoot, so shout out to you. And Alison.
Hi, I'm Alice. I'm very new to the internship. I only joined in March, so yeah, I'm a new intern.
Yeah, special shout out to Alison with her being so new, and she's agreed to do this, which is really nerve-wracking, so thank you. Okay, so just to flag as well, everyone that's going to be speaking to you is from the Department for Education. So we've tried to keep this PowerPoint as universal as we possibly can, but each department do offer different things. So there are some aspects throughout this presentation that are just focused predominantly on DFE, but we'll let you know if that is as we go through. Bit about the summary of the internship then. So when you apply, it's available at 2 grades. You've got an AO or an EO. When you're applying, you can actually apply for both grades. What will happen then is you'll be assessed at the higher grade. If you don't reach that mark, then you'll be assessed at the lower grade. So it does give you a higher chance of being successful, which is great. To be eligible for the internship, you need to be between the ages of 18 and 30. And you need to have received the leaving care package. The more specifics of that is you need to be in care for at least 13 weeks, and some of that has to be after your 16th birthday. The internship is a 12-month fixed term appointment. You will be placed in a government department that has a vacant role. You don't really get to choose what department or what role you go into. It's just a case of what's available. Because you don't pick your role, your responsibilities will differ depending on where you get placed. And the basic overall of the internship is to offer an opportunity for you to develop skills and experience that will help you in the world of work and give you something to put on your CV.
Recruitment normally opens around September every year. The advert goes up on the civil service jobs website. You can set up a job alert so you are emailed when any AO/EO roles come up, both the internship and in general. You have to provide proof of your care leave status from your LA and undergo a DBS check if successful. You can choose 3 locations in order of preference. Normally get given one of your top preferences. You then submit a 500-word personal statement, and the applications are assessed against 5 capabilities: using Microsoft Word and Excel, the ability to speak to people over the phone and face-to-face, that you have good organisational skills, the ability to prioritise workload, and good written communication skills?
Okay, so this is my favourite slide out of the whole pack because it is a little bit naughty of me. So on the internship, every year the questions that you're assessed against haven't changed. So I've taken the questions and I've taken the grading criteria to basically show you all and talk you through the sort of things that they're looking for. So you'll see here this is what you're assessed against. And if it's got a question next to it, that's a question you're more than likely going to be asked in interview. So you can see here, so obviously using Word and Excel, the question is, given an example where you've used a computer program or system and what you've used them for. So when you're being asked questions like this, it's not necessarily looking for the specifics of what you've done. It's more interested in how you've done that. So what functionalities of Word do you know how to use? So if you've created a letter, explain the layout, where the addresses have gone, how you make it professional, and so on and so forth. You're probably going to be asked a follow-up question about showing other people these applications. So make sure you prepare an example of where you've shown someone like how to use Word or Excel or anything like that. And then for extra points, talk about more than one application. So, talk about PowerPoint and Word and so on. So good written communication skills tells about a time when you've had to send a letter or an email. Very similar to the above, it's more looking for, that you know how to do it professionally rather than what you actually sent the email or letter about. So things like professional tone, your signature, spell check, all of that. It's really key that you point out, how you can adapt to the audiences, so whether it's informal or formal. Speaking to people over telephone and face-to-face. So how would you interact with a customer in person? So this is basically picking up on how you can talk to a variety of different people, formally and informal, how you sort of progress that conversation and make sure, you're being respectful. And then obviously you need to acknowledge as well, like non-verbal behaviours and how you adapt to that. So if you're speaking to a customer and they seem to getting agitated or they cross their arms, how do you react to that non-verbal cues in how you progress that conversation? Ability to prioritise workloads. So if you had an urgent piece of work to complete by a given deadline, how would you go about completing it? So this is all about how you can juggle several tasks at once that have different deadlines. So if you are given an urgent piece of work, but you're already working on something, what do you do then? So it's basically about, being able to recognise what comes first and then communicating that with people around you. It's really good to turn around and say, I had loads of stuff on, so I asked for help, and making sure, people are aware that if it's something that is going to be late, you're telling people this and obviously keeping people updated. And obviously for extra points here, you basically need to show if someone else was in the same situation as you, what would you do? If someone had a priority piece of work, how would you support them in that situation? And then the final one is good organisational skills. So you won't be asked an interview question about this, mainly because it fits into prioritising workloads, but you will have to put that into your 500-word statement. So this is basically just how you do keep organised. Do you write lists? How do you make sure things are done to the deadlines, so on and so forth.
Yeah, cheers for that, Danielle. So the interview panel. Now, this is something I wish I'd known prior to going for the job, because I had the impression that the interview panel would be very experienced people, it would be senior civil servants, that kind of thing. But in reality, it's not. I joined the internship last February, and for this year's cohort, I was on the interview panel. So I was literally, a year in to the civil service. And yeah, it's a lot of volunteers with largely inexperience, really. A lot of them, it's their first interview, so they're almost as nervous as you, because they want to give you the best chance possible to showcase your skills and give you a chance at passing the interview, really. So yeah, there's normally 2 or 3 people on the panel, and they'll ask you the questions that Danielle just went through in the last slide. They'll ask you follow-ups as well to try and help you get the best answer possible. If you're nervous, whatever, you need to take a break, you need to get water, whatever. It's a completely relaxed environment, and that's absolutely okay. All you have to do is just say, and they're very understanding. And again, at the end of the day, they're just trying to get the best responses they can possible from yourself to give you the best chance of passing the interview. So yeah, honestly, just go in with the fact that they're likely to be as inexperienced as you are at actually being in the interview. So yeah, I wish I'd known that before I went for mine. So the internship, a little bit of background about myself quickly. So I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in university, and the only reason that I bring this up is because this internship was the best choice for me financially, even with the 2 degrees that I'd got. So if successful, it's obviously a paid internship, which was a big selling point for me, because most internships, their big selling point is, oh, this is experience for you to get a paid position, whereas this one is paid for the entire year. So you're guaranteed at least 12 months of paid work. The minimum wage for any department is 17,500, though if you get an EO position within the DFE, then that wage is around about 25,000. The majority of them are more than 17.5 K, but that's the very minimum that you will be getting. So yeah, it's between 17.5 and 25 grand. And as I say, even with 2 degrees, for me, this was the best thing I could do straight out of university. So yeah, I was just blown away, really. Performance reviews will be conducted throughout your internship. As long as you're consistently strong in your performance, you've got a very good chance of receiving a permanent contract, like so many of us have, or if not an extension. I think the figures are somewhere between 70 and 80% in terms of people that have been made permanent. So the percentage is really high, and that also doesn't include people who have done the internship and then have the potential to be made permanent, but they've decided to go elsewhere. So it's a really high figure. As long as you don't have any major performance issues, there's no reason why this shouldn't be made permanent.
So there's, as mentioned before, there's so many roles and tasks, all dependent on the placement. But you'll be involved in problem solving, business planning, policy making, even at the really high levels that you would not think you would be able to, but they give you so many opportunities and such a range. You'll be working within a supportive team under direction, so you won't be left alone, and you will get all the guidance that you need. Professions include legal, finance, analysis, policy, HR, tech, with roles like comms assistant, policy advisor, PA, finance assistant, customer support, business support, etc. But if you don't like your role, you can speak to your manager and something can be done about it. There are do's and don'ts while you're on your fixed term appointment. Things you can do are apply for other roles that are advertised externally, including on a promotion. Apply for internal short-term roles as long as they don't exceed your 12-month contract end date. You can apply for temporary promotions, again, as long as they're end before that 12 months. However, you can't apply for permanent roles that are advertised internally, or apply for temporary roles that go past your 12-month contract end date. One thing I will say is that you might get a role or be in a profession that you would never even think that you could do or ever would have the opportunity to do. I went into finance and I did not know that I was going into finance till very, very late on, and that scared me, honestly. It was really daunting knowing I was going into such a specialised part, but I'd say always give it a bit of time, because it has surprised me how much I enjoy it and how much the challenge just really eggs me on and motivates me. And yeah, so even at first, if you initially are a bit scared or about don't, just give it a chance. But remember, if not, there are so many options and so much support will be given for you.
There are benefits of working for government, but the benefits differ between departments and roles. However, you could receive bonuses either in the form of vouchers or financially have access to the civil service charity, which can offer financial, emotional, and crisis support. There are healthcare benefits such as free eye tests, discounted gym memberships, and cycle to work schemes. Government issued technology such as a laptop, mobile, and headset. Option to travel to different areas across the UK for work, including London, with expenses such as travel, hotel, and food paid for. There are flexible hours with the option to work at home. Have access to finance to attend learning and development events, funding for further education, including for university, a chance to build friendships with individuals across the UK.
So when you come to the end of your 12 months fixed term appointment, there are 3 possible options that will happen. So your performance will be reviewed to see if you reach the specifications for your grade. If so, you'll be offered a permanent contract. If your performance doesn't quite reach the mark, your temporary contract can be extended up to a further of 12 months. If your performance isn't satisfactory, your manager will help to either find you alternate employment, education, or training. And it is just worth noting they do have a duty to do this. They can't just leave you with no notice out of a job. So we're now going to look at some myths that we've discovered are associated with working in the civil service. So if you could all go to Menti and please put the code in, and then it should bring up a form for you to fill in with some myths. You just need to say whether you think they're true or false.
Okay. There's someone who can't see the screen. So Luke, do you want to just go through what the answers are, just for people who, what answers people have given, just for people who
So
can't
it
see the
looks
screen?
like, so the first myth is that you need a college degree to apply for internship. People seem to think this is false. You can use examples from education interview. The general consensus there that it looks like it's quite strongly true. You can take notes into the interview, seems to be a bit in the middle, with the same as if successful, you will start the job within 4 weeks. You expect to have some knowledge of the role before you enter, so people think that's false. This is our favourite one. In the civil service, you can have an alcoholic drink on your dinner break. People think this is false. Along with, you must disclose your care leave status to your colleagues, and you must work full-time in the internship. People generally think that's false. Would you go to the next slide, please, and do the answers? So here are the answers to them. So you don't need any experience or specific grades for the role. It's just entry level. So in the interview, you can use education or lived examples. It doesn't have to be from a professional background. You can take notes into the interview, and this will have no negative effect on the outcome. So due to a DBS check, it may take several months before you actually start your role. I think for me, it was around 8 to 10 weeks after I got accepted. You're not expected to be an immediate expert in your job. This is an internship, and managers are aware that you'll have very little knowledge or experience. So it's not all professional. Events are held for teams to have some fun and to get to know each other. It isn't uncommon to have a laugh in the workplace, go out for lunch, or even a glass of wine to celebrate on the successes in the office. So yeah, me and Danielle went out for lunch last Friday and had a cheeky beverage. So you do not need to disclose your care leaver status to those who you work with. Only relevant people will know, such as your manager. But this is, again, it's your choice who you want to disclose your status to as well. You don't have to work full time. You can meet with your manager to discuss working hours and patterns. There is a flexible working arrangement for the civil service. So the civil service is not for middle class, middle aged, highly educated individuals. It prides itself on trying to reflect the society it serves. There are a mix of ages, socioeconomic backgrounds, race, gender, and sexualities. Individuals are encouraged to bring their true selves to work. The dress code differs in each department, but universally, individuals can wear what they like as long as they're clean, presentable, and appropriate. And the internship is what you make of it. So you have 12 months to develop skills and gain experience. You are allowed to go looking for opportunities to develop. So there's a lot of like learning development opportunities, which are all widely advertised across the civil service. And then in civil service, you must keep information confidential and present as politically neutral.
Fab. Aidan?
So the imposter syndrome, I think this one's really important. You know, I can relate to this one highly. Like, I had never had an office-based job. Obviously, I came from university, and at the time I was working part-time at Tesco. So yeah, I was really worried about fitting in because all I'd heard about the civil service, I didn't know much about it. And yeah, like I just presumed it was, you know, upper middle class people, you know, you get looked down at. It was very hierarchical. It's absolutely not. Like, it really isn't. Like, from day one, the help and support and guidance that you get is unbelievable. Like, I couldn't believe it coming from Tesco, you know, where you treat as a number. You're not even treat as a person. You know, you've got to have your holidays booked in for the next year. You know, there's no flexible working. You've got to be there then, or else you get sanctioned. Like, you know, it was a horrible environment compared to the civil service. So yeah, like, don't worry that you know, just if you've came from an unfortunate background like me, like, you know, lower socioeconomic background, you're not at a disadvantage at all. You know, you're respected for who you are. As long as you know, obviously do your work and you're willing to learn and that kind of thing, you're absolutely fine. There's tailor-made training. It's all good. So for those who don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's the idea and fear that, one, you'll be exposed as like a fraud in your position, or you're not as good as someone else. You think that in your mind. And yeah, it's like the feeling of not belonging. So yeah, I definitely thought this prior to my role, but within, you know, the first few days of it, it was gone. And yeah, I just urge, if that is a major concern for you, that, yeah, honestly, take it from all of us, all the people that are speaking here, that, you know, have only joined a year ago, 2 years ago. It's just not true. It really isn't. There's some more descriptions on the slide that you know, you can read at a later date if you want more information about what the imposter syndrome is. But yeah, it dissipates straight away for me. Like, within the first week, it really did. And yeah, I felt like I was as good as all my colleagues, really. And again, you can. Another thing that amazed me is how open the civil service is. So again, I'm not going to go into major details about the grades, but you know, the deputy director, who was like 4 or 5 grades above me, came to visit our office and had a talk with our team about 3 weeks into my work. And he took me aside and he had like a massive conversation with me. He was asking what football team I supported, that kind of thing. And I was blown away because he's like 5 grades higher than me. And I was like, he actually cares about, like, you know, the lower grades and everything. And he took time out of his day to speak to me and, you know, get to know me. And I was amazed. He still knows my name to this day. So yeah, it's honestly remarkable. It's such a difference from working elsewhere, I've found.
Fab. Oh, this one's me. So we just wanted to touch on very briefly about like the future of the internship as well, because, you know, the internship has only been around for a couple of years and it's changing quite quickly. So we wanted to point out some of the changes that's happening over the next couple of years. So a lot of comments from previous interns were made about the DBS check and the process and the timescales, and people not knowing that they had to wait, you know, quite a few weeks to start. So we will be making sure that when the adverts go out, this is noted on the advert, so people know they're not going to, you know, start immediately. There is a wait for them to join. The HR team are looking at the possibility of aligning people's knowledge and experiences to roles, just so people, you know, fit into things a bit better. As you can imagine, this is a little bit harder to do, and it does take a lot of capacity for the HR team. So it might take a few years for this actually to, you know, get working and be functional. But that is something that we're thinking about. So other departments are in the process of replicating the care leaver network. So as I mentioned, the care leaver network that we're all in is specifically for the Department for Education. We are speaking to other departments and they're looking to set up their own network. So regardless of what department you go into, hopefully there will be some sort of support for you while you're there for other people, you know, who have been in the same situations as you. So working with Cabinet Office, a care experience network is being set up across every department. So obviously our network is focused specifically on people on the internship, but we are working to get a care experience network set up for anyone who has had any experience of care, so they can join that and we can work together and get support on an even broader field. We now have a dedicated HR team for the internship. We actually have an intern in this HR team as well, which is amazing. We didn't have this previously, and it made the whole process really just laggy and not very good. We're hoping now we've got this dedicated HR team that when, you know, you are successful and you're brought in, things are going to be a lot smoother moving forward. A social event is held every month across the whole of the civil service for interns to come together and receive support and gain friendships. So this is something that our network runs, and you know, we see people from like the Scottish government and the Welsh government come in, and it's great to hear people from different departments with different views and different locations and just be able to chat. It's really, really good. We've started to run a manager's induction event, so it has been implemented this year and we've had really good feedback from it. And that's basically to make sure that managers who are getting interns and care leavers understand, you know, firstly what a care leaver is, and secondly what support they will probably need on the internship. So we're hoping that when new interns start in following years, that, you know, their managers are going to be prepared for their arrival. And then very similar, so we're hoping that to set up a managers network across the whole of the civil service. So we have a network for the care leavers and the interns, and we're hoping to get a network set up for the managers of these interns, so they can, you know, if they have any problems, they can discuss it with other managers and they can share good working practice. And once again, it's just a case of making sure that these managers are as well trained and as well informed as they can be to help you and support you on your internship. Okay, we're going to go back to Menti. So obviously that's sort of like the end of like the overview of the internship. And I guess we just sort of want to hear your thoughts. You know, is there anything particular that jumps out to you that's really, really good? Have you got any doubts about anything? You know, any thoughts that really come to your mind about the care leaver internship? And we could sort of, you know, try and tackle a bit of that. Fab. Okay, wonderful. How to apply. So we can touch on that in a couple of seconds, and we can talk about how to apply again. Let's go. So what we wanted to do now is we wanted to sort of give you a flavour of actually, you know, what interns get up to in their day-to-day jobs. Just so you've got an idea of like when you join, obviously there are different roles and the sort of stuff you could be getting involved into. So we're going to hear from Aidan first. Obviously he is permanent and he's a commercial support officer. Aidan, do you want to talk about a bit about like what your day looks like?
Yeah, apologies if you're getting bored of my you know, strong Geordie accent, but you know, yeah, as I say, I'm well, as Danielle's just said, I'm a commercial support officer within the Department for Education. I'm not going to bore you with the like specifics and that kind of thing, but in terms of my day-to-day role, there's a lot of emailing. You know, we have delivery officers, we have external experts, and we have what like contracts, stuff called statement of works. And basically, my main role is to confirm that these contracts have been completed by the external experts. And yeah, I you know, correspond via email. There's a lot of work on Outlook, that kind of thing, to make sure that these contracts are fully done. Once they are, I handle the payment of that. So the external expert will send me invoices, and yeah, I process them with our finance team to pay for the work that is completed. There's also a lot of other other systems that are built into the civil service and the IT equipment that you will be getting. So, I use other systems like Jaga and that kind of thing. Again, probably alien terminology to you right now, but yeah, I'm just trying to say we use a wide variety of different things. I also do a lot of the IT work for our team. So our contractors have IT needs and that kind of thing. So if they have a problem that has arose, then I liaise with our IT department to make sure that their needs are met and they can do their jobs and fulfill their contracts. I also am a co-founder of the Care Leavers Network within the Department for Education. So I'm the Teams page leader, Microsoft Teams. There's a lot of work on that as well. So yeah, I keep that up to date alongside Luke, who is in this call as well, to make sure that announcements are on the page and other things and help and guidance and that kind of thing. So yeah, and I talk with my colleagues every single day. We have a daily team meeting. So if there's any problems for any of us, so there's 7 in our team, we go in that, have a little bit of banter. It's not all work at the end of the day, but if there is any problems that arise, we can all discuss it. We all help each other, that kind of thing. I feel very lucky with the team I'm in because we're always open and honest. And, if something goes wrong or whatever, we just tell each other and we can, work to make it, to improve it, to make it better, that kind of thing, work through it. So yeah, I think that's really important. The constant communication, particularly during the COVID age, which hopefully by the time you apply will be a distant, long forgotten memory, hopefully. But yeah, particularly in that age, it's nice knowing that, you've still got that support network around you. And again, you can chat to a colleague. I do that now and then, just call randomly and talk about something that isn't work related, because at the end of the day, your mentality and your mental health is as important as the job you're doing. So it's not all work. It's all, making sure that you're happy, and any concerns that you have within the work environment or external, you can just, have a chat like you would when it's back in the office. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell, I guess.
Fab. Thanks, Aidan. Kyle, do you want to talk a little bit about what your day looks like?
Yeah, so I initially, when I started the internship, I started on a team called the SARA, which stands for Sector Annual Reporting Accounts, and that is just the academies. That is just the finance side for academies only, whereas the wider finance division deals with everything else. So I started on that team, but to demonstrate that you do get so many opportunities, I moved to the other side, the wider side, not just academies, for experience. But because of my effort, they kept me permanent. They kept me there, and now I'm permanent on that team. So that just shows you can move, and it's so flexible. When it comes to opportunities and development. So our team does a wide range of things, but it's mainly just the daily running of the department in terms of finances. So what money comes in and out, liaising with Aidan's team, commercial and strategic. But my main work is something called whole of government accounts, and that's just a set of accounts that just it's the financial position of the public sector. So that's just basically how much money does it start with at the year, how much money does it end, income, expense, or just them kind of things. And we do our work, and it goes towards that, and that is a lot in the finance, in operational finance. That's a lot of the work you're doing, a bit that's contributing to a much bigger piece that will get laid in Parliament. And that's what I love about my role, is that I've got so much range, and I can see what my work is doing. I know what I'm doing this month. Now I know when them accounts are laid, I can flip to that page and see what I contributed to and what my team does. And being able to see that in a government document is really like awesome, and it just blows me away, and it was really astonishing for a long time. But we use a number of softwares, including things like Business Central, and Teams, Jet reports on Excel. So many, so much technology, but you get good training on all of them, and it just expands your IT knowledge so much. It depends on the role you are, but I know in my role that's been a really big aspect, is learning about that technology and software. But usually, depending on the day, we have quite a few calls, like broadcasts from senior leadership. So, like the Perm Secretary will do a weekly broadcast just talking about what's happening in the media, projects, important just news topics and things that the department needs to be aware of. So there's a lot of communication from leadership and the higher up. There's so much comms and a lot of emails, and it's very much a continuous just communication. That's a really good thing about Department of Education, is that we collaborate so much, and most of my work is we'll have a meeting as a team. Our manager will say, you need to do this, this, and this. We'll go through it, and then we'll work on our own. And if we get stuck or we have a question, we have a group call. Not necessarily with me manager as well, but as a team, we work together. We give each other, our own area of expertise. So we all put ideas, and we all work together to try and solve it. And I'm at the lowest grade, and I'm, working with people 2 or 3 grades above, and we're working equally and collaboratively, and that's really great. That despite your grade, your input is just as important. So yeah, but I love my role, and it's amazing opportunity. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, the department deals with millions and millions every year, so I do not envy the finance people. So go you, Kyle. Alison, do you want to talk a little bit about your role? Obviously, Alison is new, so yeah, kudos to her.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Hi, I'm Alice. I'm the newest to the civil service. I'm a PA to a deputy director, and I'm really enjoying it, even though I've only been here close to 2 months. I already know that I want my position to become permanent. Most of my workload I have found easy, despite having only done it to a limited extent in my past. I have found that it is really important to be adaptable, as the day's plan can suddenly change at a moment's notice, meaning that I could either be more or less needed by my deputy director. Most, if not all, of the meetings that I set up are with senior people to me. I end up talking to these people on a regular basis so that they know if they need a meeting set up, I will attempt to do it as soon as feasibly possible. I don't just set up or move meetings in a diary, but I also block out times for them to clear emails so that they can be moved on to be read or asked of ministers. It helps greatly to be on whilst here, so then I can ask him questions or via emails at him about scheduling, and he can ask me to delegate tasks to other members of the staff or request me to set up meetings with other staff. For the most part, though, I can sign in and out whenever I want to. The internship is a great opportunity for learning and development opportunities. I've recently finished undergoing FED, which stands for Future Engaged Deliver training, which is all about learning how to be a better leader, as everyone in the government is a leader in some aspect. This includes working out which energies my team and I bring to work, how to be more engaging with people in my team so that if I need to ask a huge favour of them at some point, I'll hopefully have generated enough respect from them so that they're committed or engaged rather than offering willing compliance or grudging compliance. I've found that this learning is really useful, as I think I am now more committed to working on my relationships so that I can be a better leader in my job.
Fab, thank you. So yeah, you've obviously got like quite a broad spectrum about like what people's roles do and what their day looks like. And I think that the biggest thing to take away from that is that you really are treated like an adult in the department. You know, you are trusted to do a job, and you know you can do that in whatever capacity you feel like. So you know, if you need the support is there. If you want to do it alone independently, you're welcome to do that. And obviously you manage your own hours as well. So Alison picked up that she can pretty much log on and off as she wants to, as long as her role is delivered and her hours are completed at the end of the week. You know, she doesn't have a specified working time scale. What are the opportunities like location wise? Just as usually loads of things in some locations, then other locations never have the chance as there is nothing available. That really depends between different years. So the people that you've spoke to today are pretty much stretched across the whole of the UK. So I'm in the Sheffield office. I think Aidan is Darlington.
Yep.
Yep, I think Luke, you're Sheffield. Alison, Kyle, I ain't got a clue.
I'm London based.
London based. Manchester. So they really are stretched across the whole of the UK, but it really does depend on which department has those roles vacant at the moment. So I can't say exactly like you know, how many places are available at each office, but you know, it is, you know, it's not just London basically.
To add to that as well, I think because mainly of COVID, the civil service is looking to improve and change the way it works as well. So roles aren't going to be so region locked. So, for example, there's more chance if the main team works at Sheffield, for example, there's no reason why your main office can't be in Darlington, and then you can get trains down now and then to Sheffield and that kind of thing. It's again not every single role and that kind of thing, but they are exploring the possibilities of, yeah, taking what we've learned this year that, you know, everything can be done remotely in essence, and we can still complete our roles. So yeah, it is going to be a little bit more open with the application process and that kind of thing. So yeah, it bodes well for the future, I think.
Sorry, so you've just re-clarified that question. So I'm not 100% sure what departments are around Somerset. I know that every year the amount of places that are offered is increasing. So, you know, if there's nothing in Somerset or near Somerset, please keep waiting. We are obviously trying to get as many roles open as possible for people to join. Some questions from the chat. So can people with long-term health problems apply? Absolutely. I've got PTSD. I've got borderline personality. I have therapy every Monday. That time I'm in therapy, that's paid for by work. You know, it doesn't discount out of my working hours. If you've got mental health conditions, you know, speak to your manager about them. They understand that as care leavers, you've got background and you've got trauma, and that's fine. Just talk about it so they're aware and they'll sort of adapt to you. What are progression opportunities like? There is a lot. So I mentioned briefly when I was talking, so when I joined the internship, obviously that is a 12-month placement. And after about 6 months, my manager turned around to me and was like, yeah, you're ready for promotion, go and apply. So literally 6 months into being in the department, I got my promotion, which was amazing. So there's loads of opportunities to progress. Kyle?
Yeah, I'd just like to add that once you are, if you do get permanence, that your development does not stop there. They want you to get promoted. They want you to you know, keep going. The end of the 12 months doesn't mean the end of learning development. I'd be made permanent, and now my line manager is my goal is to be on to start on an apprenticeship to get my accounting qualification. So as soon as that 12 months is over, you look for what's next, and you will get all the help and all the opportunities possible. But it does not stop at the 12 months.
You said you get put in a department and you don't choose, but does that mean that if you apply for a specific position, you won't get that position? So basically how the internship works is you apply for a specific grade, and if you're made successful at that grade, there is a variety of roles and you'll just be placed into one. So you can't specifically apply to a role on the internship, you just get given it. Once you're in the internship, that's when you can start looking at different roles that you feel are more suited to you, and you can go and apply for those.
Yeah, sorry to touch on that. I think it's the biggest advantage and kind of I don't want to say con of the application process, because yeah, you are, as Danielle says, applying for a grade, so either A or EO. But they will always try and put you in a role that is near like you get three options pretty much of where you want to work. And I came across anyone in any department that hasn't been placed in one of your three locations that you want to work. So yeah, like again, your role, you don't really know what you're going to do prior to it, which is why the skills are so limited that you need. You only need Excel, Word, communication, that kind of thing. But you get training on the day anyway. On the job anyway, so it doesn't really matter where you get placed. You can still excel in it. And again, you get three locations to put, and I haven't came across anyone that hasn't been in one of your three locations that you put on the application.
Fab. I just want to go into this question. So, is the dress code regulated? Are piercings, tattooed, dyed hair allowed? Absolutely yes. I've got pink hair. So I think a lot of this sort of depends on who your manager is, I guess. And it's definitely a conversation that you need to have with them. But as mentioned earlier, they're pretty much a case of they don't care what you look like. They're more interested in if you can do the job and if you can do it well. So if you've got pink hair and tattoos and you turn up to work looking like a goth emo, they don't really care. You knock yourself out. If they've got a problem about like anything about how you look, they'll obviously discuss that with you and find a compromise. But managers in the civil service are not about telling you like how to be an individual. That's not your choice. Just wanted to touch on that. What other questions have we got? What are your career goals? Do you see any jobs in the government that you think in 5 or 10 years that I want to do this job? Oh, yes. So I think a lot of us have career goals, and I think most of us are planning to stay in the civil service for a while. I know I am. So I'm currently doing my master's, and the department is helping me pay for that as well. Once I've done my master's, I'll be moving into a higher grade, working more into analysis. Obviously, I want to go and work I want to be a leader, I want to be a manager, so I'll be looking to move, quite a few grades higher than what I am. I really like the idea of being at the centre of the department, so, dealing with the most priority work in that moment and dealing with the stuff that's sort of coming out of the woodwork that isn't expected. I love that sort of work, so that's sort of like my career goals in this. Aidan, Kyle, Luke, Alison, what are your career goals?
As of now, I don't have any like specific roles that I want to take, but I do want to progress up the roles. I think I'm capable of gaining promotions and that kind of thing. But with the civil service, again, it's great having like a dedicated what you want to do. But for me, sometimes I always look on civil service jobs, and there's opportunities and jobs that come up that I never would have thought that I wanted at a higher grade or that kind of thing, but that pique my interest and that kind of thing. So there's always opportunities for progression. I think over the next year I'm happy where I am, but I definitely want to make that step up and try and get higher grades, more pay.
Luke, Kyle, Alison, what are your career goals?
So my academic background's in mathematics and statistics. So I'm looking to explore the possibility of going into like the GSS, which is a government statistical service, or even into like a corporate finance role. So that's what I'm hoping to do in the future.
Kyle, Alison, you got any input at all?
Yeah, so like I said, just I'm hoping to start my accounting qualification, all paid for by the civil service. But I have applied last month for a promotion 2 grades above what I am, and my manager's been really supportive about it. And yeah, so I'm hoping I get that. It is 2 grades above what I am now, so it might be a stretch, but you get that training kind of transition period, if I do get it. So yeah, just stay in operational finance and just keep developing my knowledge and working my way up.
Fab. Alison, I know you're still fairly new to the civil service. Have you got any idea like where you want to go in like 5-10 years?
None whatsoever.
That's fine. I'm going to go to 2 questions really quick, just because they're easy to answer. So, is it true civil servants aren't allowed to say what they do? No. I'm pretty open about the fact that I'm in the civil service. They recommend not to put things on Facebook about like what departments you work in, mainly so you don't get people sort of contacting you with abuse or anything if something happens in the department that they don't like. You are told as well that when you go back into the office, you are to always take your lanyard off when you leave the office. Obviously, that's just down to security purposes. You are going to be working in the government, and sometimes it's not beneficial for the whole of the public to know that. But you are allowed to talk about what you do. If there's any aspect of your job you're not allowed to talk about, you'll be told that, and you'll more than likely be told to sign a non-disclosure. But yeah, feel free to talk about it. What was the other one? There was one more that I saw. Does it matter what you do outside of working hours? Can you get in trouble for partying, etc., if it's on social media? They don't care. It's your life. You do what you want to do. You're an adult, and they're going to treat you like an adult. Obviously, if you do start doing stuff illegal and you start getting arrested, obviously your manager needs to know about that. But I don't think that's a cause for dismissal. It'll just be a case of they'll have those discussions about, what impact that might have on your job. What do you think the impact has been of having more care leavers working in the DfE? That's a great question. I think it's had a huge impact. So the Department for Education actually holds the policy for children's social care. So everything about like children in care, care leavers, social workers, all of that jazz. And we actually have interns in that area working and sharing their experiences and trying to shape policy to fit it in. We actually are in communication quite regularly with the policy team that's leading the Children's Care Review. So they sort of come to us with ideas, and they engage with our network about, stuff they've found or stuff they're finding difficult, or they just want to sort of like test the water with. So we're sort of there as a point to, draw on our experiences and share those with people to help build the future around like the children in care and care leaver agenda. So absolutely huge impact. It's been amazing.
So sorry, Danielle, to jump in. I know I keep
Go
doing
ahead.
this. Yeah, I've just seen a question that I think is quite important. If the job is far away from where you are, do you get help with relocating? I can see the answer to this because my brother just joined on this year's internship, and he currently lives in Newcastle, and he's wanting to relocate to Darlington, closer to the office he'll be working at. And there is scope to help with that because obviously there's deposits and that kind of thing. Once you've got the job, there's information on the DfE intranet and that kind of thing, or whatever department you are in, as well as you'll be able to speak to your line manager about that, who will be able to provide you the links to look at and apply for help with relocation. So yeah, that is something that is considered.
Fab. Are there more engaging things than scheduling and sending emails? Yes, absolutely. Sorry, Kyle, do you want to jump in quickly before I go on to the next question?
Yeah, sorry. So I was just going to say, when I got my job, when I saw I was in Manchester, because I live in Stoke, so it's about 60 miles, 70 miles from me, and I was quite scared because I wasn't very exposed to big cities and traveling much. But if you do have to travel, but you don't necessarily mind it, definitely see it as an opportunity to grow outside of work, because it will give you so many opportunities to learn about different places and meet different people. So just because you work away from where you live, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Just going back to the previous question then, is there more engaging things than sending emails and stuff? So yes, absolutely. Obviously, it all does depend on the role that you're placed into. So my first ever role was around program management. So what that basically meant is I got to see all the work that people were doing, and then I basically made sure people were delivering those things on time. So I had my hands in so many different pots, speaking to so many different peoples, knowing all about these different areas of work. And it was my job to make sure, things were running smoothly, were getting delivered on time. If they weren't getting delivered on time, that the people higher up knew about it. So, speaking to some really senior people and being in those meetings where some really high level decisions were being made, it was really, really interesting. Obviously, a lot of your job does spend around like receiving and sending emails. That's like a key communication method. And again, because of how many meetings we have, there is going to be a large part of your job that is probably going to be around setting meetings up and doing all of that. But there's so much more to the job than that. And, as it's been mentioned, if you want to learn something or get involved in different opportunities, you can go out and you can look for that. If there's something that catches your eye, a role that catches your eye, and you think, oh, that's interesting, have a word with your manager and speak about like the possibility of moving over, or even going to shadow them for a week so you can get an idea of what a different job or role will have involved, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Go on,
Sorry,
Aidan.
I keep doing this, but yeah, I did that for 2 weeks. So I did what's known as a expression of interest. So I worked in a completely different department within the DFE, in a completely different role for 2 weeks. I covered the diary manager for a director general. And yeah, I did that for 2 weeks with no prior training, that kind of thing, just to experience a different culture, really, a different job role. And it gave me a lot of skills and experience, really, just learning exactly how many different things there are and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was something that I did about 2 months into my internship, and it helped me gain skills and make the position permanent. So yeah, all I had to do there was speak to my line manager, okay, and and there was still loads of help and support. And yeah, I struggled for the first couple of days, but by the end of it, I loved it. And yeah, I'm really happy I did that. So yeah, there are many development opportunities over the course of the 12 months. That's the whole point, to try and give you the skills to get the permanent position. Like, I like to think of the internship as a blank slate. You're not expected to have anything at the start. You're expected to learn and develop across the 12 months to make you employable, whether that's in the civil service or elsewhere. So yeah, it's all about learning and development, really. So yeah.
I'd also like to point out that like diary management and stuff like that is probably one of the hardest jobs ever and most challenging jobs ever. Like, in my role at the moment, I have an assistant who sort of deals with all the diary stuff, and I'm so grateful because I cannot do it for the life of me. It's really, really difficult. It is really challenging. So, you might be given a task that, on the surface sounds really easy and really boring. I guarantee you it's probably not going to be that, because every day is different, every single day.
I can vouch for that and completely agree with what you're saying about it, because it is really different from one day to another. Because a couple of weeks ago, my DD's laptop literally exploded, and so I had to constantly be in touch with him to tell him which meetings were going on and stuff. So yeah.
Cheers for that, guys. So if you're all if everyone in the audience looking for an internship, I highly recommend applying. I think it's September they come about, isn't it, that you can apply again? Great presentation, really informative, and a lot of information in it, and you just completely flowed with it. So I'm sure we'll be asking you to help us present at some other events and stuff like that. So everyone can just blow up the chat, and cheers for you guys coming in.